is one community. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit, the Spirit of life. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit.
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Wait for the Spirit. Wait, wait, wait for the Spirit, children. Wait for the Spirit. The Spirit of life will guide you. I can't believe in divinity. I'm gonna wait for the Spirit. I have my worth and my dignity. I believe in the Spirit of life. Search for truth and its meaning. Wait for the Spirit. Justice, equity, and compassion. Hold on to the Spirit of life.
Wait for the Spirit. Wait, wait, wait for the Spirit. Wait for the Spirit. The Spirit of life will guide you.
Let my conscience be my guide. Wait for the Spirit. Let peace and liberty be for all. Trust in the Spirit of life. The world is one community. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit, the Spirit of life. care for one another. Follow that spirit.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Wait for the Spirit. Wait, wait, wait for the Spirit, children. Wait for the Spirit. The Spirit of life will guide you. I can't believe in divinity. I'm gonna wait for the Spirit. I have my worth and my dignity. I believe in the Spirit of life. Search for truth and its meaning. Wait for the Spirit. Justice, equity, and compassion. Hold on to the Spirit of life.
Wait for the Spirit. Wait, wait, wait for the Spirit. Wait for the Spirit. The Spirit of life will guide you.
Let my conscience be my guide. Wait for the Spirit. Let peace and liberty be for all. Trust in the Spirit of life. The world is one community. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit, the Spirit of life. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
Wait for the Spirit. Wait, wait, wait for the Spirit, children. Wait for the Spirit. The Spirit of life will guide you. I can't believe in divinity. I'm gonna wait for the Spirit. I have my worth and my dignity. I believe in the Spirit of life. Search for truth and its meaning. Wait for the Spirit. Justice, equity, and compassion. Hold on to the Spirit of life.
Wait for the Spirit. Wait, wait, wait for the Spirit. Wait for the Spirit. The Spirit of life will guide you.
Let my conscience be my guide. Wait for the Spirit. Let peace and liberty be for all. Trust in the Spirit of life. The world is one community. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit, the Spirit of life. Wait for the Spirit. Care for one another. Follow that Spirit.
Good morning, everyone. As you're finding your seats, I want to welcome you to the UUC, Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia. We're so glad to have you here this morning. For those of you who don't know, my name is Melody Smith, and I want to know, does anybody want to take a guess at who our minister is today? Would you like to guess? What's his name? He's like, huh? I'm messing with him. The fabulous Stephen Robinson is with us this morning. We're so grateful to have him here as always. Our service is streamed on YouTube and Zoom, but no matter how you choose, and welcome everybody on YouTube and Zoom. We're glad to have you this morning. However you choose to join us, you're always welcome. For more information about UUCC, please visit our website at uucolumbia.org. And if you're under the age of 30, you can follow us on Instagram. And if you're over the age of 30, you can follow us on Facebook. We also provide weekly email updates on Thursdays. We welcome families and children, and we provide childcare during our service for infants and children up to the age of 4 years old. To be a volunteer, please see Bethany Storlazzi. Today, children and youth over the age of 4 will remain with us here in the service with their parents. However, parents, if your kids are squirmy and they don't feel like sitting in a chair, we have a nice play area right back here where my friend Kate is showing us, and the kids can get a toy from the back table or bring their own and play quietly throughout the service. And now, again, my favorite time where we shut our phones off. Let's all take a collective deep breath and shut the world out and center ourselves to be here together. And so as we do that, then our fabulous music director, Anna, will introduce the prelude.
This morning's service music will feature minimalist music. It's a compositional style using elements like simple musical patterns, repetition, gradual shifts in sound, and slow changing patterns. It can be captivating to the listener or even bring about a sort of meditative listening state. In connection to today's sermon topic, some even say it can be boring. I personally love minimalist music. I invite you, for all the music in today's service, to embrace the possibilities of still and receptive listening. Take a break from some of the busyness of your body, the busy multitasking or analyzing in your mind, and just let yourself be receptive to the sound. Our prelude is For Alina by Estonian composer Arvo Pärt.
That was lovely, Anna. I don't know about y'all, it reminded me of drops of water into a tranquil pool. Yeah, now I want to sit and just meditate. I don't really want to be the service chair anymore, but onward and upward, right? Well, please rise in body or in spirit and join me in the congregational covenant. And it is in the order of service if you need it. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. For truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. The beauty of Unitarian Universalism is that it is a diverse and non-creedal religion. Our community is based on deeds, not creeds. In these days when people say a lot of things and do very little, that is a real treasure in my book. We are a covenantal religion, which means that we don't have to believe the same in order to treat each other the same, with respect, equity, compassion, and dignity. We side with love, embracing and welcoming all people. Our board members and committee chairs welcome your questions and comments, and our board members may be recognized by their green name tags. Now, we would like to welcome any guests or visitors that we have here today. So visitors, if you will please wait for the microphone. Our very beautiful and lovely Abigail Brandon will bring the microphone around for you to tell us your name and where you are from, if you'd like.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Shane. I grew up in Texas, and I have been here in South Carolina for about the past 4 years. This is my second time here, considering I only found out about this congregation a week ago.
Yay, welcome, Shane. Anyone else? We don't want to miss anyone. Oh, in the back.
My name is Don, and my family and I moved here to Blythewood 1st of July. We moved down from Indiana, so we're still trying to figure out where things are. I did find this church, and I was a member of the Unitarian Church in Indianapolis, or just north of Indianapolis in Carmel. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Okay, is that all? Well, Shane, I know that Abigail will tell you this, but Don, you already know about Universalism, but if you would like to know more about the events or things that we're doing here in this particular church, you can fill out one of the visitor cards that are located in the pocket on the back of the chairs that you're all sitting in. And this morning, I'd like to give a special thank you to Sylvia, Ellisor. She put together this beautiful bouquet of flowers that is a combination of flowers out of her garden as well as other flowers that she put and filled out the bouquet. It's just a lovely arrangement. And she has brought this in celebration of her grandchildren's birthdays that occur in August and September. So thank you, Sylvia, when you have a moment, okay? Right, and now if the lovely Bonnie Stronach would come forward and light the chalice for us. Bonnie told me that she would only do this if she didn't have to say anything.
Thanks, if I can even do this.
I made sure it would work,
How do you do
just for you, Bonnie.
I see. I don't know how to use that. Okay. I'm going to use it.
Perfect, perfect. Well done. Spirit of light and life, come upon us.
Our opening hymn is Meditation on Breathing. It's simple enough that if you choose not to look at it, you'll probably catch on. But if you'd like to look, it's in the teal hymnal. It's number 1009. And I'll invite you as we sing this today to remain comfortably seated. Meditation on breathing layers together 3 musical parts. We're going to try each part and then we'll layer them together. The first part we're going to try is the drone. If you are looking at the music, you'll see melody, descant, drone, that middle line. It's the same note, and the words are this. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Above that, the very top line is the melody. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. And right beneath that, the descant. 4 and when I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Now we're going to layer them together. And it's your choice to sing whatever part you feel moved to sing, or to move between singing different parts. We're going to layer them in the same order we just sang them. So we're all going to start on the breathe in, breathe out drone. And then the melody will come in. You can jump to the melody with me or stay on the drone. And then the descant will come in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out,
Thank you, Anna. We're setting the tone with music for our service today. Makes me think, what does Reverend Stephen's sermons and minimalist music have in common? Some people find them boring. But hopefully all of you find them engaging. So, we will see. It's good to see everyone here. When you publicize that the service is going to be about boredom, it's just shocking that people show up, but here you are. So. Our opening words today may help you embrace experiences that you've had of boredom. It comes from a book that we're going to refer to a little bit later that does an entire study on the concept of boredom, entitled Out of My Skull, The Psychology of Boredom. And this is kind of to invite us to the space of maybe what we're talking about with boredom. And I'm sorry if anyone here works for the DMV. I don't mean this in any disrespectful way. I didn't write this. They write, you arrive early to renew your driver's license, hoping to avoid the crowds. No such luck. It seems others had the same idea, and the building is full of people. Stepping up to the counter, you hear, please take a number and have a seat. You shuffle to the nearest chair in dread, and your body twists and fidgets restlessly. You cast your eyes about, looking here and there for relief, and after reading all the posters in the room, which outline the regulations for everyone from first-time drivers to crane operators, you slump forward and prop your head in your hands as ticket numbers are slowly announced, one after the other. The lethargy comes in waves, punctuated by moments of irritability. You're drained of energy and edgy and restless, and so you decide to read all the posters again. The urgency to act builds as time crawls, and then suddenly you remember you have a phone in your pocket. You tremble as you reach for it, anticipating the relief that you've been craving, and after you put your earbuds in and unlock your phone, your body relaxes and your mind clears, and a soothing calm envelops you. The crisis has been averted. Or perhaps you've drowned out just a very unpleasant feeling. That's a good thing. But what if your boredom was trying to tell you something? At this point, I invite our young folks to come down for our story for all ages and join me down front on the carpet. Good morning. Come have a seat. I'm going to share just the beginning of a book that maybe you've heard of before. It's called The Cat in the Hat. Has anyone ever heard of that book before? Yeah. A Cat in the Hat? Yeah? This book, The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. So I'm going to share just the first few pages. Maybe you can relate, especially this past month. Yeah? All right. He writes, the sun did not shine. It was too wet to play. So we sat in the house on that cold, cold, wet day. I sat there with Sally. We sat there, we two. And I said, how I wished we had something to do. Too wet to go out and too cold to play ball. So we sat in the house and we did nothing at all. So all we could do was to sit, sit, and sit. And we did not like it, not one little bit. And then there was a bump, a different kind of bump. And then something went bump. How that bump made us jump. Does anybody know what the bump was?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. A fish.
A fish. Oh, that's a good guess. That's right. Well, this was the last page we'll read today. We looked and we saw him step on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. And he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that? I know it's wet and the sun is not sunny, but we can have lots of good fun that is funny." Does anybody know what the cat in the hat did? Yeah. You read the story, seen the movie? Well, I have to tell you, when I read the book, I get really nervous because all I can think is, man, those kids are going to get in some trouble. Yeah? Yep. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever get bored? Yeah? Yeah? You get bored? You're not bored right now, right? No, we're not bored. What is it like? What is it like? What do you do when you get bored? Okay. Find something to play with. Yeah. Oh, find something to play with so you're not bored anymore. What if there's nothing to play with? What do? You make something, huh? That's right. That's absolutely right. What about, huh? Yep. Oh, yep. You can't play outside if there's thunder and lightning. That's true. What else? I know someone that doesn't get bored. Yeah? Yep. Yep. He's drawn toward the piano. Anybody know why? Well, we're talking today. You know what? Look out there. You can kind of see some of those people. You know, they get bored too. Sometimes on Sunday morning, they get bored. I see the look on their faces, and they have to find something to do too. So that's what we're talking about today is what do you do when you feel bored? Maybe you get creative, and I love your answers about I can find something to do. I can create something for me to do. You don't have to wait for the cat. Yeah? Oh, yeah, that's a good idea, going outside for sure. You don't have to wait for the cat in the hat to show up. Hopefully you can find creative ways to deal with being bored. And maybe you can do that this morning. Go and find something to play with and enjoy your time here this morning. Thank you all for coming down and crawling around. This time I invite you, if you have a candle for community, as we take this time in our service to share joys or concerns with each other. If you have a candle that you want to share today, I invite you to come down and share it and briefly share it and place it here for us.
I'm Jean Capalbo, and this is...
I'm Craig Chatton, and this is a very, very happy day for us. 8 years ago today.
8 years ago today, you've heard this so many times, though.
No.
Well, this is exactly the day.
Yeah.
8 years ago, we were on a trip with Jolt Solomosi and some of the pilgrims who just got back. And the day before, Jolt said, gee, why don't you... And I said, well, I asked Jolt, you know, whenever we get married, I'd love for you to do the service. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, how about tomorrow? So we thought it was kind of, you know, abrupt, but we did. And 8 years later, we're here.
And for those who don't know, the wedding ceremony was in a Unitarian church in Budapest, Hungary. So that was pretty exciting too, so
And
it's a great day of celebration.
we had our guests and all the people who helped to put it together, which was it was a wonderful wedding.
Best wedding ever.
Were the wonderful people on our
Right
trip, Yoli, Lee Mingy, Susan Robinson out there, and a number of others, and I know I'm not gonna forget, but anyway, it was a great time. John Logue, John and Carolyn, they were there. Yeah, they provided the violinists from the Budapest Orchestra. It was great. Okay, I highly advise it if anybody's thinking of getting married.
Hi, I'm Larry Siegel. There is well, first of all, before I get to that, the name Shane. So, all of you familiar with the movie Come Back, Shane? Shane, come back. So, Shane, come back. Anyway. But why I'm up here is there's a guy who rarely comes to services, but he's when I was chair membership, he came here and he's been coming to the forum ever since. Chuck Barnett, and he broke his hip about a week ago. And we've talked he's at Lexington Hospital. The caring committee sending him a card, and then we're gonna get him one too. And Marge Ehrenclue, who comes to some of the services, knows him quite well, and so she's going to be sure that he go visit him and be sure that he gets the card. And then his wife's in memory care right now because he had to be taking care of her. So that's the other thing. So Pat, is the card at the front desk or something, for Marge? It's in the office, okay. I'll let her know that, okay. So thank you, and if anybody knows him and wants to sign the card we all did from the forum today, it's in the office.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin McKinney. I wasn't going to light a candle today, but there were some left over and I couldn't resist, so here I am again. It's a candle of joy because we're doing well with our UU the Vote campaign so far. Just to update where we are as of this minute, if my numbers are right, we've now got 105 letters turned in and 20 individual writers participating. And that's of our very, very ambitious total to have 75 individual writers write something and do an average of 75 letters apiece. Now, in part, this is a candle of clarification. We've had this question, does that mean you have to write 75 letters? No, it does not. You do not. But we already have folks who are above that now. So it's not so impossible unless you have arthritis in the hand, which, okay. Some of us do. That sucks, but there you are. Anyway, it's going great. So that's the update. That's the candle of clarification, which is not a phrase I think I've ever heard before. And so come on back. We will be there briefly today because we're going to have a social action meeting, and I wasn't clever enough to get somebody to cover. So if you've got letters to come back or want to sign up, get me at the beginning because I won't be out there long today. So. Oh, I should say that the 75-75 thing is in anticipatory celebration of our 75th congregational anniversary next year.
Hi, I'm John Logue. This is a candle of concern for Jody Liebman. And I'm sure most of you who were in the congregation remember Jeff and the troubles that were associated with that. Jody called last week to say that Jeff had passed away. He passed away a week ago Wednesday. And she had gone out to get groceries. Last thing she heard from him was pick up some milk. And when she got back, he was gone. So please remember her.
Good morning, my name's Kathy Paget. I have an imaginary candle because I wasn't sure I was going to get up and share this joy. But since being inspired by being here for these few minutes already, I want to share the joy that I have experienced. Oh, thank you. It's related to a joy I shared a couple weeks ago about having the opportunity to read to children in a couple of weeks at All Good Books. And unfortunately, I've had to wait to do that for a full month. So in that waiting period, I decided to go to the Richland Public Library in my neighborhood on Woodrow Street and get as many children's books as I could. So I have, in the past 2 weeks, checked out 32 children's books. And they are gracing my coffee table. And so when I get up in the morning, that is what I see. Instead of the unpaid bills and other paperwork that I usually had, which were very, very boring. And children's books have, along with music, helped me because I have been challenged by boredom in my retirement. I will fully admit that. So I go into the library, and I'm going to do a shout out for our lovely libraries in this lovely city, Richland County. And I go to the most recent books that have been published. And in 2023, 2024, you might realize that there are some very scintillating titles for children's books, which caught my attention. So among the ones that I have brought home are I Want to Be Spaghetti. And I wondered what in the world that is about, and spoiler alert, it is about ramen noodles in grocery store shelves who think that spaghetti noodles get all the attention. And who else would think about this but a children's book writer? And frankly, that's the kind of thing I want to be thinking about right now in this world that we live in. So I Want to Be Spaghetti, I highly recommend it. Bird Rehearsal is all about the minimalist sounds that birds make. And We Light Up the Sky with Music is another one. And today I brought to share with Jane Gillespie a lovely book about plant life and trees called Green. And it is full of beautiful illustrations and lovely facts about our plant life and growth in our lovely world of nature. So I highly recommend that if you're bored, check out at least 32 children's books.
Hi, everyone. This is actually a candle for joy, which 2 weeks ago would probably have been for sorrow. And many of you know me from Cotton Branch Farm Sanctuary, and we have 181 animals, and a little over a month ago, one of our caregivers took a new job on a new career path, and one of our other caregivers 5 days later moved. So it was me doing everything so I worked 16 12-hour days straight in the record-breaking heat. It was a little miserable. It feels like you're behind in everything all the time. And then we started training. I started training our new caregivers. So thanks to our part-time caregiver who was trained first, this is my 3rd day off in a month, so yay, I am here. And our full-time caregiver started Thursday, and then we have another part-time and fill-in caregiver. So it's been awesome because these 3 are the most meticulous, kind, joyful people that we've had great caregivers, but they're amazing me already. So I'm looking at this as now being kind of a light at the end of the tunnel and a blessing because they have helped keep me going on the days where I'm like, oh my God, this is like day 28. So that is a joy I share. Another one is it actually has helped Evan and I be closer because even though we weren't spending as much time together, we were fulfilling the things that needed to be done. He helped me out in all the roles that I couldn't do because, we have a yoga studio too. And I did want to share one other joy from that. And I will make it quick. But one of our I hate to say clients, but I guess that I'm used to doing hair. One of our clients is, her name's Luella, and she's a little over 90 years old, and she religiously practices yoga, and she can do some of the things better than I can. And she's just always an inspiration and amazing to us. And Luella is a woman of color, and so at the end of one of our classes, when we have our Shavasana, where everyone kind of relaxes and there's like healing type music playing, she started crying and she told the story. And if you don't know, our building was built in 1901, that we have yoga and it's been there a long time and been many different things. And she told the story about how in the 50s, when her father brought her and her 2 sisters to what was then the Five and Dime, they couldn't go in and buy their school shoes. And the owner said, well, I'll sell them to you, but you have to go out back and wait. And she said, we waited 3 hours to get our shoes for schools that day. And now I'm in here practicing yoga. And I thought, that the only thing that comes to me is I'm like, you waited 3 hours because you couldn't go in just because of the color of your skin in the 50s, and you waited for those shoes out back for 3 hours, and now you get to walk through these doors and take your shoes off and dance barefoot in here. And that's a joy for me and for her. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name's Elisa. I've come up here a bunch in the past month or so because, as I told you guys previously, on Thursday I got a knee surgery, and I was telling you guys about it because, like I said many times, I was very scared. As you can see, I don't have any crutches, I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm standing perfectly, I'm walking great, and so this is a candle of joy because I am so happy that this surgery went so well. Because there were many things that could have gone wrong. There were many things that did go wrong when the surgery was happening, but I'm not going to get into that. But I want to say that I am so thankful for everyone in this community who has been here in the past month or, however long you've been here, because I have gotten so much support from everyone here, and I have, it doesn't seem like much when you just come up and you ask a question, but I'm always so happy to talk to all of you, get to know you. I might not remember your name, but I love all of you and I appreciate all of you. And when I got out of surgery, something that I got a card in the mail. And I was like, who is mailing me cards, And then I opened it, it was from the Catholic Church. And I haven't been to the Catholic Church since November of last year. I left the Catholic Church because they did my family not so good. but it was a pastor that put my name in one of their like little prayer things. And so at Mass, they had a congregation of their own pray for me. So yeah, I got a lot of prayers and I've got a lot of good vibes. And I just want to say I'm thankful for everyone here, and I'm thankful for everyone in the Catholic Church. Maybe they're watching, who knows? Highly doubt it. But I just want to, like I said many times, I am thankful for all of you. You guys are amazing. This is an amazing congregation. I've been here since December, and it's awesome. It's so awesome. I love all of you, and honestly, I believe that all these healing vibes have made me heal easier. So, thank you.
And of course, we always hold a space each Sunday for those joys and concerns that we're holding silently. So I invite you to take a minute and breathe in and breathe out as we did musically just a few minutes ago, and remember all that's been shared. This time, I invite our ushers to come and receive our morning offering.
Our offertory musical selection is Metamorphosis 1 by American composer Philip Glass.
receive our offering today, a symbol of our commitment to our good work. Thank you, Anna, for all the music. I told Anna that this is gonna date me a little bit for some. For some, it just makes me feel young or old, depending on the group. But I did have that album by Philip Glass, I believe it was called Solo Piano, I think was the name of the album, on a cassette tape. So there you go. For those kids out there, ask your parents what a cassette tape is. And they can show you how to rewind it with a pencil. At this point, I do feel like I need to apologize. When I originally communicated about the service topic for today, and this is not the fault of the worship committee at all, Linda, so just owning that. What I meant to say was befriending our board, like our board of trustees, and just kind of having a day where we celebrated them, but we're going to roll with it and go in this direction because it works as well. I use that joke just as a way to say you should befriend our board. Actually, they gave up their entire Saturday yesterday and did tremendous work on online orientation with the UUA and some learning modules, as well as spending the afternoon talking about the goals for this congregation for this next year. So if you see somebody wearing that green name tag like Matthew back there, raise your hand, Matthew, wearing that green name tag. Matthew spent all Saturday here yesterday working on that good work, so do befriend them, but on to befriending our boredom. And that has nothing to do with a board meeting whatsoever, I promise, although they might disagree. There was an experiment done in 2022 with close to 50 people that went through the experiment, and they were invited one at a time to go and sit alone in a room for 15 minutes with nothing but their thoughts. The only option that they had in the room was to press a button that would give them a painful electric shock. 15 minutes is all they had to do, sit in the room just alone with themselves and their thoughts. 60% of them pushed the button at least once. 30% pushed it more than once. And then for some unknown reason, one person pushed it close to 180 times. So I don't know what was going on with that individual. But the researchers concluded and Erin Westgate is the name of the person that is responsible for the research. She's a social psychologist at the University of Florida. But she just basically concluded from that getting shocked is unpleasant for those who press the button, but they said that they preferred the discomfort of the shock to the discomfort of being bored. Boredom is usually this universally dreaded feeling that we have. It means that we're wanting to be engaged, but we can't. It's our brain usually telling us to take action, much like in our body's pain is an important signal for danger or harm. Dr. Westgate says that boredom is a sort of an emotional dashboard light that goes up like saying, hey, you're not on track here. You need to pay attention. A signal that whatever we are doing isn't either meaningful to us or we're not able to successfully engage with it. Boredom is typically a state of mind that's characterized by a lack of interest, stimulation, or challenge, a subjective experience that can manifest in a variety of ways. Just look around you now. It can be restlessness, apathy, or disinterest. Boredom can be caused by lacks of external stimulation or internal factors that are causing us to not be motivated. It can come from routine tasks that we're doing. It can come from new tasks that we're doing. There's no really stipulation of where boredom can come in, but it will rise up when there are unmet expectations or there's a discrepancy between our desires for what is supposed to happen and the current reality of what is going to happen. This is not meant to make anyone feel guilty or feel charged in any way, but boredom can lead to distraction at work. Anybody want to confess? A couple of examples is an air traffic controller got bored on a very slow night at work and started watching a crime thriller on their phone instead of monitoring the space, exposing quite some dangerous scenarios because of boredom. In 2019, there was a security guard that had to call the police to help release him from the handcuffs after he had handcuffed himself to a chain link fence out of boredom and lost the key. On a more serious note, high rates of boredom have been linked to depression and substance abuse. The substance abuse is similar to the electric shock. The pain of boredom is not cured, but it's soothed with some kind of distraction. And usually, one of our greatest resources for soothing our boredom, excuse me. Give me a few minutes. This person that I follow posted these awesome videos of pigs. His name is Josh, and then I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. There are awesome videos posted by Josh, though, if you want to check those out later, not right now. Obviously, our phones have become a way that we engage our brains, and sometimes really not engage our brains, but rather avoid this sense of dread of feeling bored. And researching this and reading studies about this, and of course, watching endless TikTok videos about it over the past few weeks. I didn't really do that. I am not saying that boredom is not a real experience. Obviously it is. Boredom can be unhealthy and psychologically harmful to us when we experience deep states of boredom. When Michelle and I visited Philadelphia, it was a birthday trip, and one of the things that we did on our romantic trip to Philadelphia was to visit the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia. It is a museum. It's no longer a working prison. It is a museum, and it's also become a social justice center to educate and raise awareness about the problems of our modern prison system. But it was built 200 years ago, and it was built with a Quaker mindset of isolation is the path to rehabilitation. And at that prison, it was taken to a very extreme level. It was not a work prison. You might know, like Sing Sing is an old prison in New York that was built on a work model where the prisoners lived together and worked together, even though they were supposed to do that in silence. This model is called a separation system. And it was a prison that was built to take isolation to this level of no interaction whatsoever. Small cells were built. There were very small holes that food was given into when prisoners weren't even noticing that it was given by the guards. The prisoners had a little outside area where they could go outside and experience outdoors and exercise, but the walls were built so high that no prisoner could communicate with another. And then, interestingly enough, they discovered that the prisoners really enjoyed hearing the guards walk up and down because at least that felt like there was some kind of sense of I'm not alone here. And so the guards started wearing these huge sock-like things on their shoes so that they could walk silently down the halls to reinforce that sense of isolation. The thought was that isolation, that sense of boredom would lead to some kind of rehabilitation. But we've learned that that type of isolation and that lack of engagement actually tears down the psychological self and causes harm. And of course, other prisons started using it as a form of punishment for inmates in work prisons that were getting in trouble in the prison, and we know that as solitary confinement. Boredom can be harmful, And I do believe, even though it is harmful in our lives, that we've also learned to move to being bored too quickly. We are losing the ability to be alone with ourselves without some form of distraction. Research is showing us that our intolerance for boredom in our life is changing the actual activity of our brains, and we're losing our ability to pay attention because our attention is always divided, and we lose focus. Research shows us that on social media, that every positive comment that you either give someone or receive releases a dopamine shot into our brain, a neurotransmitter, this hormone that's primarily associated with pleasure in the brain. It's a motivation molecule that tends to spike when we get those kind of rewards. And the dynamic of that instant gratification with our smartphones is tricking our brains to think that that reward can come anytime we want it. We just have to listen for the ding. You know the ding that I'm talking about? Ding! If it went off right now, I guarantee you, like half of us would just reach for our phones out of habit. Harvard researchers have found that dopamine being released is that we're experiencing from our phones and our social media is equitable to the dopamine that's released when doing intense drugs like cocaine. Whenever we don't have to work for something or we experience delays for rewards, then we become dependent on them. And that makes us dependent on something that we are not responsible for. Social media even has the capacity to affect memory formation and your ability to recall information and experiences. Studies have found that social media platforms bombard users with constant information, and it's overloading our cognitive resources, which actually prohibits our ability of our brains to encode memories effectively. When we're in the midst of an experience and we take time out then to document it and somehow capture a live video, we're actually preventing our brain from experiencing the experience. I remember I shared a few weeks ago reading Bell Hook's book about her life in Kentucky, and one of the chapters she talks about the transformation of tobacco. For her, tobacco growing up in Kentucky was a plant that was used appropriately and used for different ways, used in medicinal ways. And she says, but when it became commercially produced in the form of cigarettes, the creators of the cigarettes designed the cigarettes to make them addictive. And it's absolutely evident, shows that the chemicals that were used around the tobacco, not the tobacco itself, but the chemicals around the tobacco were used to make them addictive. I don't think any of us would argue with that whatsoever. And we have so much legislation that has come out against the tobacco industry with that in mind. However, what we're now figuring out is some of the social media creators are designing it to be addictive in just the same way, and our children are just as susceptible. Keeping us disconnected from ourselves, keeping us disconnected from each other, going on dates and watching couples that sit at a romantic dinner together, and they're both locked into their phones in separate worlds. Wondering, can you tolerate a space with each other? And maybe you're not even realizing you're bored with that person across from you, or that you're not bored with them. But ultimately, can we tolerate that kind of space with ourselves? For me, I've been on this transformational journey and walking every morning and always listening to something, whether a podcast or listening to a book, just to kind of help myself get through the 30 minutes of walking without realizing I just want to go home and rest. On a trip to Europe, I thought, I can't walk around, I can't be in Europe and have AirPods in my ears, so I'm going to walk around and pay attention to things around me. And of course, there were times where shouldn't have the AirPods in your ear so that you could listen for the mountain lions. That's what was communicated to me when I'm walking around Torosco. You want to pay attention, the mountain lions might come and get you. I don't know what hearing them would have helped me to do, but it did help me stay close to camp, so to speak. But then I realized in walking around I'm still just distracting myself. And as much as I love nature and love absorbing the world around me, what would it look like to walk for 30 minutes where I just have a conversation with myself, other than that may lead me to some sort of confusion or being looked at in a weird way of having an out loud conversation with myself. But what would it look like to just be alone with me? Do I like me enough to be alone with me for 30 minutes without some kind of distraction? The short answer to that is not really, but I'm working on it. Befriending that sense of boredom can actually reintroduce yourself to yourself. We're also learning that as much as boredom can be harmful, it also is very productive. The book that I mentioned, Out of My Skull, The Psychology of Boredom, was ready to be published in 2020, and the authors decided, wow, we should really have taken into account what happened later on in 2020 and what that looked like with isolation and boredom. I think they're already ready to do a revised version of their book that came out just a few years ago, and the lessons that were learned during COVID. But the invitation in that book to listen to our boredom and to hear what it's teaching us about ourselves, teaching us how we're engaging the world, recognizing that boredom, like pain, is a signal that something needs attention, and maybe it's something in ourselves. Maybe it's drawing our attention to our lack of engagement and why we're not engaged to begin with. Maybe it is inviting us to not have meaning made for us, but to make meaning of our lives. And at minimum, it's an invitation to gain comfort with being alone with ourselves. Reverend Forrest Church, who was the pastor of the All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in New York for 30 years, when he had his cancer diagnosis and began to realize that he was barreling, in his words, barreling his path toward death, he had a mantra as he faced that cancer and his own death, and I believe Michael Sullivan shared a sermon about it not too long ago, last summer. But his mantra had 3 parts. Want what you have, which is telling us not to settle, but just reminding us to be thankful for things in our lives. To do what you can, which is to recognize our own power and our own limitations. But his last thing was to be who you are. And he writes that being who you are may sound simple, but we must first know ourselves in order to be ourselves. And in order to know ourselves, we have to be comfortable with being alone with ourselves. From my perspective and belief, spirituality is all about connection. And if anyone ever asks me, what does spirituality mean to you? It's all about connection for me. Connection to people around us in community, connection to something greater than ourselves, whether we recognize that as a deity or we recognize that something as the universe, something that's bigger than you and me, connection to our web of existence around us that is so important. But all of that connection absolutely hinges on your connection to yourself. We can ask questions like, who am I? Who do I want to be? And we spend all of our time and energy in what Joseph Campbell comes up with of following our bliss in our lives. Parker Palmer tells us in his book, Let Your Life Speak, that the journey of discovering is called discovering your true self, the true self that's planted in us, the self that wants nothing more or less than who we are supposed to be. To embark on that journey of the self and discovering that whole self, it's risky business because, as Palmer writes, it requires us to shed the mask and the costumes that we have been accumulating and populate our closets every day, to strip down to our naked selves and to take a close look in the mirror. And in that moment, we are called to see ourselves in our bored space, perhaps more challenging even, to claim ourselves, all of who we are. Palmer concludes that I know myself to be a person of weakness, of strength, of liability, of giftness, of darkness, and light. And I know that to be whole means that I don't reject any of that, but I embrace all of it. Mary Sarton, at the age of 83 years old, wrote a poem entitled, "Now I Become Myself." She says, it's taken time and years and places. I have been dissolved and shaken, worn other people's faces. I've run madly as if time were there, terribly old, crying a warning, hurry, you'll be dead before, what? Dead before you reach the morning? Or the end of the poem is clear? Or love safe in the walled city? Now to stand still, to be here, to feel my own weight and my density. The black shadow on the paper is my hand, the shadow of a word as thought shapes the shaper, falls heavy on the page, is heard. All fuses now fall into place. From wish to action, word to silence, my work, my love, my time, my face, gathered into one intense gesture of growing like a plant. As slowly as the ripening fruit, fertile, detached, and always spent, falls, but does not exhaust the root, so all the poem can give, grows in me to become the song, and may I so be rooted in love. At the age of 83, she ends her poem by saying, now, there is time, and time is young. Oh, in this single hour I live, all of myself and do not move. I, the pursued, who madly ran all my life, now stand still, and stop the sun. The path of embracing our boredom, which ultimately is embracing ourselves, can happen at any age. We can teach our children how to do it by modeling it for them and doing it for ourselves. To be who we are is to offer the world the greatest gift that we can give. To invest our lives and all that we do with sincerity, authenticity, and deep commitment will lead us into relationships with our authentic self. And then when we enter those relationships, the relationships that are sacred in all of the world, we cannot help in those moments to bring our collective power together as a community to bear against the forces of injustice and hatred and oppression in our world. Our collective wholeness will, by definition, heal our world. Befriending our boredom and becoming a group of people who are living in wholeness can literally change the world.
I invite you to remain comfortably seated for our closing song, which has simple, repetitive text and melody that you can just join naturally in singing. But first, I'm going to invite you to feel the rhythm with me. As you catch on to the pattern, if you can just join me in counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to invite you to breathe in for 4, hold for 3. Breathe out for 4, hold out for 3. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3. Out, 2, 3, 4, hold out, 2, 3. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. Out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3. Out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the morning sun to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the morning sun to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the morning sun to you. Wind through trees. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the wind through trees to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the wind through trees to you. The self's embrace. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the self's embrace to you. Deep peace to you. Deep peace of the self's embrace to you.
Our closing words also come from Parker Palmer. Our deepest calling is to grow into our authentic selfhood, whether or not it conforms to some image of who we ought to be. As we do, we will not only find the joy that every human being seeks, we will also find our path of authentic service in our world.
Please stand and join in singing our congregational benediction. May the blessings of truth be upon us. May the power of love direct us. And may the peace of this community sustain us till we meet again.
For those of you that wish the cat in the hat would have shown up instead of this, you can blame the worship committee. They have the power to override me at any time. Thank you for embracing the concept of boredom, and hopefully you walk away from this place in love with yourself. I mentioned Forest Church. He ended every sermon by saying, "I love you," to his congregation every Sunday. And he said that at one point, someone came to him and said, "It's the only time I hear it through the week." So I hope that you walk away knowing, I love you, and that you're able to say that to yourself.